Yeah, look, I don't think too much needed to be said. I mean, the guys know what they normally do. The task is, I think it's the highest chase in the history of the game if it was to be achieved. So I don't think too many things needed to be said, and not too much was said.
And I suppose it looks really, really far away, right?
No, it is far away. But there's still hope. I mean, South Africans pride themselves on our resilience, and we're a side that will fight right through to the end. We know we're under a little bit of pressure at the moment, but there's every possibility that something special could happen tomorrow. So there's an opportunity for someone to make a major play for his country.
Russell, will Jacques bat next?
Yeah, Jacques in next.
He's feeling okay on.
Yeah, his mobility when batting is not a major concern. It's his mobility with running. That's the main issue. Obviously, the short ball bounces and getting out the way, those might be a bit of a concern. But generally, his mobility with batting is fine.
Have you conceded that the draw is the best result you can achieve in this match?
Yeah, definitely. We've got to be as positive as we possibly can in defence tomorrow, but we know that 370 on the last day, 4 wickets down is probably out of the window.
What's the state of Imran Tahir's confidence?
Yeah, look, obviously there's going to have to be some sort of support for him. He's had a tough couple of days in Test cricket. It's never good seeing a quality player have situations like that, but he's a very resilient person. He's a tough guy. He's got a lot of confidence in his ability, and obviously he's got some things to work on and some things to think about. But the players and the management will rally around him and try and make sure that he takes a lot of learning out of these last couple of days and moves forward and improves as much as he possibly can.
Russell, how did you guys reflect on how quickly the Australians scored on the first day? It seems that first innings and the speed at which they got it has really, given them an enormous amount of time to push for a result in this game.
No, for sure, it was as if we couldn't believe what happened after the first day's play. I mean, having them 100 for 3 at lunch, we thought we were in a pretty good position, and then maybe bowled a few soft balls and just gave away the momentum. And the way Michael Clarke's playing at the moment is, I mean, as well as anyone's played, a lot of credit must go to him. A lot of those boundaries he scored were probably not off particularly bad deliveries. Deliveries that maybe we would be comfortable bowling against the African wickets. Fourth stump, maybe back of a length, just seemed to be the special over the park on day one. So it was an unbelievable innings and something that took us with a little bit of shock, I suppose.
Russell, one of the shining lights, though, has been Rory Plainveld. He seems like a transformed bowler from Brisbane.
Yeah, look, I suppose his first test match was always going to be a little bit of nerves and a lot of tension for him. A big occasion like that, big test series in Australia. But I mean, Rory's been one of the standout bowlers in South African domestic cricket for a couple of seasons, so it's no real shock to us that he's executed as well as he has this particular series. I mean, the way he's bowled in nets leading into test matches, he's probably been our most effective looking bowler in preparation leading into test. So it's no real surprise that he's strung together a good performance this week.
Russell, you need to call any players over for the squad for the final test?
I think someone is being called over. It hasn't been confirmed as to who that player is yet, so I think the convener selectors and the head coach will make that announcement in the next day or two.
Russell, apart from the things that have already been discussed, obviously there's some areas South Africa will have to look at before the next test. Can you kind of pinpoint where maybe it went wrong? Imran, for example, was backed quite enormously before this match, and now in reflection, maybe Robin Peterson could have been an option. Are there any kind of areas that you can pinpoint that South Africa will want to improve on?
Hindsight's always a great side, but it's pretty simple. I think we just weren't able to maintain any sort of so what I'm looking for, any sort of pressure with the ball. We just seemed to release pressure a little bit too easily. We weren't able to dry up an end. There were runs flying both sides of the wicket. And then pretty simple, a couple of softest missiles in our top order. And we know all our players have got unbelievable records and have put together some unbelievable performances. And I suppose those things are inclined to happen every now and then, but there were probably one or two softest missiles in our first innings, which set us back on day two in the first session. After being 180 for 2, there were maybe one or two softish dismissals. I mean, you just think of the run out of Elvira Peterson, probably a little bit of a softest missile as well.
Can you explain the thinking with Dale Steyn? He's the number one bowler in the world. Started the session, started the day, and we probably found him last night he didn't bowl. Why is he not used this
Look, I suppose the captain's got these certain plans that he'd like to employ and who he thinks will be more effective to certain type of batters. I know when we played in England, a guy like as soon as Jonathan Todd would walk to the wicket, the ball gets thrown to Dale Steyn. As soon as Mike Hussey walks to the wicket, the ball gets thrown to Morne Morkel. So we will have plans as to which bowlers we feel are more suitable to bowling to certain batsmen that walk to the wicket, and that's the way it is.
But, I mean, could you explain why Imran Tahir bowling the British playing is obviously under pressure, helps your cause?
Yeah, look, it's a tough one because with us only having 3 seamers at the moment, they can't be bowling at full tilt all the time. So the spinner's role becomes all that more important to make sure that your seam bowlers are fresh and able to fire when they need it to. So I mean that's probably the main reason, is to make sure that Dale's nice and fresh for a later onslaught or early the next morning, whatever it might be. And that's probably the main reason with bowling him.
Russell, the Shark Murdoch has done a great run recently, especially against off spinners. What's your kind of feeling on how he's done and his own confidence in the setup?
Yeah, look, it's obviously been tough. He hasn't got big scores. He has played some important roles in some important partnerships. I just think back to partnerships in England, under pressure at Headingley, where he put on 60 or 70 on a tough morning. So whilst the scores haven't been significant, he has been part of some really important partnerships for us. And we all know Jacques' a quality player. He's got nearly 50 first-class hundreds. He knows how to get hundreds. And I think the most disappointing aspect for him, talking to him this morning, is that he's got so many starts, 20s, 30s, and then found a way to get out, which is obviously something that he's very aware of and hoping to put right in the next couple of innings.
Russell, there's been quite a lot of talk about Dale Steyn's difficulty in shaping the ball out here. Do you see that as a reflection of the conditions here, or the fact that he's got niggling injuries and he's not quite at the top of his game?
No, I don't think it's got anything to do with injuries. I think Dale's is as fit and as fresh as he's ever been. Conditions here are totally different conditions we played in England. The ball's totally different. I'm sure you'll see that throughout the course of the test match, the first 20 overs has been where the batters have really struggled the most, and then it becomes very much a batting game from overs number 20 to 60, and then maybe a little bit of reverse swing comes back into it. So the conditions in Australia are generally outstanding for batting. The margin for error for a bowler is minute here, and the Australians have batted really well, particularly Michael Clarke and Mike Hussey over these last 2 test matches.